Enough is enough. We have had a shocking start to the FPL season, bro, and it is time for change. Simple as it is. Let's call a spade, bro. We have stunk out the gaff week in, week out. We are ranked at 3.7 million. I cannot continue with this horrible team. We've got so many bums in the team like Watkins, Rogers, Mbeumo, Murillo, Sells, Wood. The list can go on and on and on, but you guys can see we've got too many scrubs and frauds in this FPL team, and it can't go on like this. A change needs to happen, and as you guys can tell by the title of this video, the wildcard is active. So today we are going to be looking at my first wildcard draft for game week 6, and to be honest with you, even though it's my very first draft, I am very happy with it. So with that being said, make sure you guys do smash a like on the video. If we could get 100 likes on today's video, guys, that would be absolutely fantastic. But enough of the waffling, let's waste no more time and let's have a look at my very first draft for game week 6. Alright guys, so with that being said, let's get straight into my wildcard draft for game week 6, and we'll start things off with the back line. In goal, we do have Raya. On the bench, of course, I've got Dubravka, and then we do have a back three of Van de Ven, Senesi and Jurrien Timber. On the bench, I've also got Tosin and Goodmanson. So this is currently what my defense does look like, and first things first, I do want to start off by saying Raya and Timber, double Arsenal defense. It goes without saying, right? When you talk about the best defense in the league, you talk about Arsenal. When you talk about a team who really does restrict opponents from, you know, scoring goals, you talk about Arsenal, right? It's very clear. The proof is in the pudding that Arsenal are one of the best defenses, not only in the Premier League, but also in world football, right? So I just gotta think logical, very smart. It's not even smart, right? It's just it's what I should do, right? It's not. I'm not thinking outside the box here. I'm not trying to be fancy. I want FPL points, right? And if I'm picking defenders, I want Arsenal defenders on wildcard. They're a long-term set and forget pick. They will not go anywhere as long as Raya and Timber stay fit. They're in my team 100%, and the upcoming fixtures are pretty good as well. So yeah, Raya and Timber are there. Of course, I've not got Gabriel. Now I do want to start by saying, actually, I do have 0.8 million in the bank, right? So I actually could get Gabriel, but that could potentially affect future moves that I plan to make down the line, right? So therefore, I've got Timber, but I like Timber. We know he's going to start. We know he's going to get good minutes. He's got DEFCON potential, but also the attacking potential as well. So very happy with that double up. Now we also do have my guy Senesi. This guy, he is a defensive contributions beast. He is a defensive contributions monster. Game after game, week after week, this man Senesi has racked up defensive contribution points, and that's why he's in my team. I think Bournemouth defensively look really good, but as I said, he is a man that can be trusted and relied upon to provide those extra defensive contribution points, and that is simply why he's in my team. I think Leeds away is a very nice entry point as well. So yeah, man, at 4.7, I just think that is bloody good value. Simple as that. There is also Tarkowski, right, who isn't in this defense. He's another one that's really good for defensive contributions, but I'm not really the biggest fan of Tarkowski because of the fixtures and his price point as well. So yeah, for me, there's no room for Tarkowski in this draft, unfortunately. But yeah, we do have Senesi, who I love a lot. Again, another good long-term set and forget pick, so that's why he is in there. Moving on, we also do have Van de Ven. Now look, for me, again, Van de Ven and Spurs assets in general, I really am a big fan of on game week 6 wildcard. I don't know if other people agree, but I think if you're wildcarding in game week 6, you need Spurs assets, right? Wolves at home, brilliant fixture. After that, it's Leeds, then it's Aston Villa, and then it's Everton. The fixtures that Spurs do have are really good, and I do see some clean sheet potential fixtures in there, which is why I do like Van de Ven. Simple as that. He's not necessarily the most amazing player, right, for defensive contributions, but that's fine, because at the end of the day, I do think the clean sheet potential there, it is there with a player like Van de Ven with the fixtures that they do have, right? So yeah, for me, again, it's a no-brainer. Mickey Van de Ven is in the team. Now on the bench, I do have Tosin. Now this is one player where I'm a bit 50-50. Now he has started the majority of games in the Premier League. He's only got, so in game week 1, right, he was injured, didn't play. That's fine. And then recently against Manchester United, he did get benched, but obviously when Sanchez got a red card, Tosin did eventually come back on. But I do have a little bit of a doubt with Tosin now, and that's just on a rotation basis. I think the Chelsea, like, I wouldn't actually be playing Tosin with the way the team structure works. I wouldn't be playing Tosin until game week 9, right? I wouldn't need to play him until game week 9. But I'm just a bit nervous that when Chelsea's fixtures do get good, we could potentially see some rotation. We know that Chelsea have a lot of players in their squad, a lot of defender options, and it does make me a bit nervous. So I'm a bit 50-50 with picking Tosin. I'd say this is probably the only pick in my team that could probably change. Honestly, I think, look, as I said, Brighton at home is a nice fixture, but I wouldn't need to play him then. Liverpool at home is a bad fixture. I wouldn't be playing him then either. Nottingham Forest away from home, I probably wouldn't play him then either. But I'm buying Tosin, thinking ahead, thinking long term, because I like the fixtures from game week 9 onwards, when he's got like Sunderland, Spurs, Wolves, Burnley. Arsenal's tough, but then Leeds. So yeah, the fixtures from game week 9 are really, really good. But I just wonder, in some of these easier games, like Sunderland at home, like Wolves at home, or Burnley away, could he potentially get rotated? And that's the question I've got to sort of ask myself, and that's sort of the doubt I've got with Tosin. Some other options I have considered is Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, and also Anderson from Fulham. Anderson again is another DEFCON monster, right? Picks up defensive contributions in so many games this season. So I like Anderson of Fulham, but my problem is with Anderson, is I need a defender. Again, we'll look at sort of my future plans with this team as well, right, after I've shown you guys the whole team. But the thing is with Anderson is that when I would need him in game week 9, he's got a tough fixture, right, against Newcastle away from home. So that's the problem I've got. Obviously from game week 10 onwards, that's when he becomes really, really good. Another player, like I said, was Chris Richards, and I like Chris Richards, but again, for me, the issue with Richards is he plays, like, again, you guys will see my midfielders and forwards, but in game week 7, 8, well, game week 6, 7, 8, he's playing against sort of my midfielders and forwards, and I don't like my defenders playing against my midfielders and forwards, so it feels a little bit suboptimal, right? Again, from game week 10 is where I would want Chris Richards, but I need a defender for game week 9 with the way this structure works. So at the moment, Tosin is in there. I'm still thinking about Anderson. I'm still thinking about Richards. They're definitely two considerations. But with that being said, though, that is what my defense is looking like. Van de Ven's staying no matter what. Senesi is staying no matter what. Timber is staying. Raya is staying. Simple as that. Tosin potentially might change. And of course, Goodmanson is my 4 million defender. I don't mind that at all. So with that being said, that is the defense. Let's move on now, guys, right? Let's move on to the midfield and forwards, because this is where it gets juicy. I've locked in, right? I spent days, hours, weeks, months. Okay, bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. I've put serious thought into this, right? And I've decided in midfield to go for Mohamed Salah, Anton Semenyo, Tijani Reinders, Ilman Ndiaye, Mohamed Kudus. And for my forwards, I've got Richarlison, and Erling Haaland. That is what my midfield and forwards are looking like. On the bench, I've got Krupi Jr., a 4.5 million forward. But yes, that's right, Mohamed Salah is finally in the team. And that might be a bit controversial because he has been stinking up the place week in, week out, if we're being honest. Yes, he's got some FPL returns, but right now, Salah is not proven to be worth that expensive 14.5 million, right? He's not proven to be worth that much. I can't lie, 14.5 million is serious though. And we need points from Mohamed Salah. But listen, I'll explain my reasoning for picking Mohamed Salah in a moment. But as you guys can see, we do have a Haaland and Salah draft, and I love it. I do honestly love it. I want to start off by talking about the Spurs players once again quickly before we do move on to Mohamed Salah. I've gone for Richarlison as a differential punty pick. I love the fixtures that Tottenham do have. And as you guys can see, there is no João Pedro in this wildcard draft at the moment. But don't worry, there is a plan in place to get João Pedro in my team for game week 9 specifically, right? That would be the idea. Now, again, once I've spoke about the players, we'll look at, what the future plans are with this team. But at the moment, Richarlison is holding this position, right? Richarlison is holding this position, and I'll tell you why, right? For me, I think he's being slept on. If I'm being totally honest, as an FPL asset, I do think he's being slept on. I love the fixtures for Spurs. Wolves at home is great. Wolves are one of the worst defences, one of the worst teams, period, in the Premier League. To play Wolves at home, for me, is fantastic. I love it. Then it's Leeds away. Slightly tougher. I think Leeds have proved to be a little bit harder than we expected, but still nonetheless a pretty decent fixture. Then it's Aston Villa at home. They stink. And then Everton away from home. But by this point, when he plays Everton, I probably do take him out for João Pedro. So I'm probably going to have Richarlison is like a short-term punt for Wolves, Leeds and Aston Villa. I don't mind it at all, and I think he is a player that can can score goals, and he started off the season quite well. He has started off the season quite well, so that's why I'm going for Richarlison. It's an exciting pick, and I do like it a lot because I feel, as I said, I feel like he is being slept on. Now, I've also gone for Mohamed Kudus. He was obviously in my team before I used my wild card anyway. And I like the fixtures for Spurs, so I thought, you know what, might as well just go ahead and double up on the Spurs attack. I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. So yeah, Kudus, Richarlison, and Van der Ven. I've actually got triple Spurs, but I'm actually a fan of it, to be fair. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys do think of that. But with that being said, guys, we also do have Mohamed Salah, right? Mohamed Salah. Now, I understand, right? I mean, you guys, if you guys were watching me earlier on in pre-season, you guys would have heard me say, right? I didn't recommend people picking Salah. I always thought Erling Haaland was the better pick, and that's why I started the season off with Erling Haaland. Now, has Salah changed my mind? Not entirely, no. However, I do think because I'm wildcarding, I've got to have that long-term vision. I've got to have that long-term view, right? And there will become a time where I believe Salah will almost become like a must-have player, right? Because further down the line, Liverpool do have a brilliant fixture run, right? So for me, I feel like if you're going to pick a Liverpool attacker, it has to be Salah, because at the moment, I just can't trust Gakpo. I don't think I can trust Ekitike. I can't trust Isak. I can't trust Wirtz. Of course not. He's been stinking up the place week in, week out. I mean, Salah starts every game, plays 90 minutes every game, and is on penalties for Liverpool. For me, I just think that alone, in a way, kind of makes Salah worth that money, because it's like, I want to cover the Liverpool attack. I really do, because in a few game weeks time, I think their fixtures do turn for the better, and I do expect them to score a lot of goals. And as I said, I can't trust the other Liverpool players. I simply can't. So Mohamed Salah is in there. What I will say with Salah, right, is in the short term, I don't necessarily like him as a pick. Right, I don't like him as a pick in the short term. I think the next two games are relatively tough, right? Palace away is very tricky. They're a solid team, a solid defense, and they're actually unbeaten in like 14 games. So I'm not really confident in having Salah for game week 6 against Palace. Again, against Chelsea away, not necessarily that confident either. Two pretty tough away games, if we're being honest with ourselves. However, from game week 8 onwards, this is where I believe Mohamed Salah will feast. And for that reason, I've just decided to just get him in now, right? I think game week 8 onwards, he will feast. Man United at home, brilliant fixture. We know how good Salah is against United. Then Brentford away, brilliant fixture. Then Villa at home, brilliant fixture. City away, slightly tough, but after that, it's Forest at home, brilliant. Then West Ham, brilliant. Sunderland, brilliant. Leeds, brilliant. And then I think after Leeds, he's off to AFCON. So I look at the fixtures from game week 8 all the way up till he goes to AFCON as some very nice and tasty fixtures, and therefore I've decided to include him in the squad, right? And hopefully his form does pick up. But ultimately, with Salah, you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting, and therefore he is in my team. It's as simple as that. Let me know down below what you guys think. Look, I've tried making some other drafts without Mohamed Salah, right? At the moment, it looks like Palmer could potentially be injured. I don't think he's an option. Yep, there's no Gyökeres in this draft. I understand, but honestly, I think Gyökeres he's okay, but I don't really mind going without Gyökeres. I don't mind it. Yeah, there's no Bukayo Saka, but again, I don't mind it. I think Arsenal are more of a defensive team, man. I really do. So I'm just happy to own 2 Arsenal defenders, right? I don't mind missing out on players like Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Gyökeres, all these players. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. So for me, I'm someone who, you guys know, I've been burned by Mohamed Salah on multiple occasions. I've bet against Mohamed Salah on multiple occasions, but now I'm learning my lesson. I know he's not got off to the best start, but we even saw in the Champions League, 1 goal, 1 assist. Yes, it was a fluky assist against Atletico Madrid, but still, Salah, no matter how poor he performs, he finds a way to get goals and assists. And normally, FPL is strictly about goals and assists. FPL doesn't care about performances. FPL doesn't care about, I had all these chances but didn't score. No. It's just about getting the ball in the back of the net. It's just about stats. And Mohamed Salah is a stats man, right? So he's in my team. I know I kind of rambled on, but yeah, he's in the team. Of course, I'm going to keep Erling Haaland as well, guys. You guys know I started the season off with Erling Haaland. He remains in the team. He's not going anywhere. He looks brilliant, amazing. Burnley at home in game week 6, right? It goes without saying. He's in the team. The same goes for Rangers as well. He stays. He's not going anywhere. Had him since game week 1. And I think, again, Burnley at home, very nice fixture. With Rangers, I don't think I'll ever remove him at my team. I think at his price point, 5.5 million, he's an absolute gem. An absolute gem. I don't think I'll ever get rid of him. Had him since game week 1. Love him as a pick. He's getting starts week in, week out. He's getting 90 minutes on the eye. He looks so good creatively, but also getting into good goal scoring positions. I just love him as a pick. So yeah, he's not going anywhere. And then we also do have Ilman and Dye, right? I want to speak on Ilman and Dye because he's got a nice fixture against West Ham at home. But I've gone for him because you know what? Every time I watch Everton, I love what I see from their attack. Grealish, Dewsbury Hall and Dye, I love all of them. Right, but for me, Ndai is my favourite one, and I'll tell you why. Guaranteed to start, guaranteed 90 minutes, good goal threat, good assist threat, on penalties, and also DEFCON potential as well. We saw against Liverpool, Ndai got points for defensive contributions. We saw it in the game against, who was it before Liverpool? Against Aston Villa, right? Ilman Ndai got defensive contribution points. As you guys can see, against Liverpool, he racked up 12 defensive contributions. Against Aston Villa, he racked up 14 defensive contributions. Against, Wolves, Brighton, he got 8, which is close to the threshold. And against Leeds, he got 9. So we can see, that Ilman Ndai for defensive contributions is really, really good. So I think he's got the entire package. I mean, people speak about Bruno Fernandes being a fantastic FPL asset because, he's on pens, 90 minutes, goals, goal potential, DEFCON potential, all that good stuff. But I look at Ndai, is a little bit like Bruno Fernandes, but better and a cheaper version. Honestly, because he's further forward than Bruno Fernandes, so he's got better goal threat. He's still on penalties and has the same defensive contribution potential as someone like Bruno Fernandes, for example. At 6.5 million, I really do think Ndai is a player that is just a set and forget pick that you can play in any sort of game, because even in the tougher games, like we saw, against Liverpool, he can rack up those defensive contributions. So I just love Ilman Ndai. I love Ilman Ndai as a pick. Can't even get my words out. Yeah, I just love him as a pick. So yeah, for me, Ilman Ndai, yeah, absolutely love him. And then of course we do have Semenyo, guys. We do have Antoine Semenyo. I think it goes without saying. We all know and we all have seen how good Semenyo has been so far this season. He continues to just skyrocket in price. He's going up and up and up and up. But I can understand why. I think he's a great option on the eye. The underlying data as well is absolutely fantastic for Antoine Semenyo. He's going to start. He's going to get 90 minutes, all that good stuff. Again, defensive contribution potential in some games is there with Semenyo. Like we saw in the last game against Newcastle, he racked up 14 defensive contributions. So, yeah, I like Semenyo. For me, it's a no-brainer. He's a set and forget pick, again, that can play in any given game, and that's why I like him. Literally, I think for me, if I put Semenyo in now, I don't see myself ever taking him out for a while. Honestly, I just think, again, when you look at the long-term fixtures for Antoine Semenyo, it just does look so good. So yeah, for me, Antoine Semenyo, it's a no-brainer. He's in the team, man, and he's even on penalties while Kluivert isn't on the pitch as well, which I like a lot. So yeah, that is how my wildcard team does look, guys. That is how my Game Week 6 wildcard draft does look. Honestly, I don't see myself changing many players. I think the only player I might change is Tosin. That is it. Now, one more thing I do want to actually point out to you guys, right? One more thing I do want to point out to you guys is what I might potentially do with Mohamed Salah, right? Because I have been thinking about one potential move with Mohamed Salah. And in fact, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to go over to planfpl.com. We're going to have a look at some future plans I've got with the team, how we, make a route to João Pedro and all that good stuff. But also, I want to show you what I could potentially do with Mohamed Salah. And it involves sort of not picking Mohamed Salah for the next 2 game weeks, putting the money saved in the bank aside, and then bringing in Mohamed Salah for Game Week 8. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Alright guys, so we are on planfpl.com and we are just sort of going to have a look at what the future plans are with this team. But also quickly, before I show you guys what the future plans are with this team, one thing I was thinking to do, because I'm not really too confident in Salah as a pick for the next 2 game weeks, right? In Game Week 6 and 7 when he plays Palace and Chelsea, I was thinking maybe I'll take him out and bring in someone like Phil Foden, for example, as a short-term punt. Man City play against Burnley and Brentford, right, in the next 2 games. And then Everton in Game Week 8 as well. But this is what I was thinking. Take out Salah, put in Foden. Save all this money in the bank, because to be fair, yeah, I know some of you might say that's stupid, but I genuinely am happy with every single player on the pitch right now, right, that you guys can see. Every single player in the team, I'm happy with. So I'm not just going to distribute the funds for the sake of it. I'm happy with the team. I'll save this 7.3 million in the bank, right? Start with Foden as a short-term punt. Then, Game Week 7, again, just roll the transfer, simple, happy days. Game Week 8, roll the transfer, simple, happy days. This then, when Liverpool do play against Manchester United, I could then just move from Foden, take out Foden and bring in Salah, right, in one move. That is something I have considered, right, because I do really like Salah from game week 8. That's when I want him. Some people might argue from game week 12 onwards, that's where you need Salah, but I personally think from game week 8 is where you need him. I look at those fixtures from game week 8 and they look really, really good, right? So that's something I was considering. Let me know down below what you guys do think of that strategy in terms of, you know, starting with Foden, then, you know, saving the money, putting it to one side, then using one free transfer to bring in Salah. What do you guys think of that? Let me know. However, although I was thinking that, what I am going to do at the moment as it stands is just start with Salah. I think, yeah, at the moment, I'm just thinking, my mindset is just sort of just, you know what, don't take any risks with Foden, just start with Salah, happy days. So, anyway, let's have a look at sort of the future plans with the team, the strategy, and, you know, how we work away to João Pedro, for example. I don't actually think with this team, by the way, there is room for Cole Palmer, but I don't mind that because I can cover the Chelsea attack with João Pedro, who's got good minutes and is good for starts, right? So, listen, let's move on. Game week 7. The plan is to roll, right? Simple as that. The bench will stay as it is. The plan just simply is to roll. We got double Arsenal defense against West Ham at home. Happy days. We got Senesi against Fulham at home. Happy days. We got Van de Ven against Leeds. Kudus and Richarlison also playing against Leeds. And Dye against Palace. Semenyo against Fulham. Just some really, really good fixtures, right? I like it. And I think what I love about this team, what I love about the forwards and the midfielders is that they're reliable, consistent starters, 90-minute men on the pitch for the whole game and have good chances of getting goals and assists, man. So I like it. I really, really do. I love the defense as well. So listen, we move on to game week 8. Once again, we can roll the transfer, man. I think we've got Ndiaye playing against City. So I've got two options here, right? I could actually start Goodmanson and go to a 4 at the back, right? He's got Burnley away from home. I could do that. Do I think I'm going to do that? Probably not, because as I said, I think someone like Ndiaye is just fixture proof. I think he can return in any given game. So there is potential I do that. I could also start Tosin, for example, playing against Nottingham Forest away. Again, am I going to do that? I'm not too sure. I feel like with this team, I'd probably just leave the defense as it is, because Senesi, for example, is just so good for defensive contributions. I think Villa at home is a great fixture on paper for a clean sheet potential. Villa are struggling to score goals. So yeah, I'd probably just leave the team as it is, right, and then just roll again, right? So again, we've banked. Remember, guys, I've actually got 2 free transfers going into this wild card. So I've actually banked transfers. As you guys can see here, like after we wild card, I've got 2 free transfers. So yeah, we continue rolling in game week 8, going into game week 9. This is where Chelsea have a great fixture swing, right? This is where Chelsea play against Sunderland at home. So this is where we would then work towards a route to get João Pedro. Now, how do I do that? Of course, Richarlison, bye-bye, mate, right? It's time to go. Simple as that. So we've saved money in the bank. We go from Richarlison to João Pedro. Now, as you guys can see, I've got minus 0.3. So I need to pull funds from somewhere. So I could do it by taking out Van de Ven. Maybe I go to someone like Juve of West Ham. He's got decent fixtures, to be fair. Leeds, Newcastle, Burnley. It's decent, but I don't think I'm going to do that, right? It's an option, but I don't think I'll do that. So instead, what I'm thinking is to probably take out someone like Mohamed Kudus at this point, and then maybe go to someone like a Paqueta instead, right? Because I don't mind the fixtures that West Ham do have. Of course, listen, Paqueta's not the most explosive FPL asset, but he is guaranteed starts, 90 minutes on penalties as well, and the fixtures in game 9 onwards are actually pretty decent. You know, Leeds away, Newcastle at home is not the best, I guess, but then after that it's Burnley at home as well, and it would only be a short-term pick, right? I'd only keep Paqueta for like the next, maybe up until the Burnley game, for example, and then in game week 12 I can take Paqueta out and switch to like a Brighton midfielder, right? Because from game week 12 onwards, Brighton do have some pretty decent fixtures. So maybe in game week 12, when Matoma, for example, plays against Brentford at home, I can switch from Paqueta to like a Matoma, or Paqueta to like a Minte, for example. That's the plan, that's the idea I've got in mind, right? So yeah, I think bringing in Paqueta for Kudus isn't a bad idea at all. Of course, then in terms of the starting 11, I'd bench Van de Ven, and there we go. Tosin comes into the starting 11. We got the Arsenal defenders here against Palace, Senesi as well. Midfield looks good in my opinion. We got João Pedro. Like, I like it, right? I really, really do like it. I like the plan. I like the strategy. And there we go. That's how we do get João Pedro. But listen, I'm not going to continue going on and on and on, right? Because we could plan all the way until game week 20, right? But ultimately, this is just the idea. This is the plan I've got in mind. Of course, as I said, there's no room for Cole Palmer, but I don't mind, right? Because I got Haaland, I got Salah, I got João Pedro as well. So I don't mind it. I don't mind it, guys. So yeah, let me know down below, right, in the comments, what do you think of my wildcard draft? Do you like it a lot? Do you dislike it? What changes you would make? Do you disagree with the things I've said? Let me know. But anyway, that is going to be it for today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Smash a like on the video as well if you did. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, all that good stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy FPL Ryan, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.